Hey people. Okay. Now I'd like to talk about something I recently saw on Facebook, of all places. It said Billy Mitchell has like this, I guess, sponsored page or whatever, and it says Billy Mitchell, professional gamer, underline. And so I want to talk about that. Basically, let's give a backdrop. In classic high score gaming, it's a very non-commercial competition. There's not much money to be made in what I do and what others do that are far, far better players than me in high score classic gaming. It never really, in the past 20 years, not the past 10 years, what really took off was speedrunning. And the high score gaming seems to have taken a back seat for whatever reason. So, but there's been an exception to this rule. And that rule is Billy Mitchell. And ever since the 2007 movie King of Kong, it became sort of a cult movie. And so Billy Mitchell gets appearance fees to certain places he goes. He's not going out of there most of the time out of his own free will. He actually is being paid to basically be at that convention, whatever video game convention you see him at. It's not a lot of money. I'll say that right now. And they get a lot of bang for their buck because there are a lot of people that basically want his autographs, want pictures taken with him, and I've seen it at like the Retro City Con was a good example. During that time, they had the Mortal Kombat people who were the characters for Mortal Kombat, and I remember it was like their table was on the dead side. Once in a while, people would come over and get a picture taken with them or get something autographed by them. But Billy Mitchell, on the other hand, there was a line just to take a picture with them and everything else. Now, given this was before the whole scandal happened, but besides that, even after, he's still making appearances and he's still getting paid. Truth be, Billy Mitchell gets paid more in the classic high score gaming industry than anyone else. I would estimate through his appearances, he's not making a ton of money, but he's still making, I would say, about $10,000 to $20,000 based on the info I know. I could be completely wrong on this, and he could be making a lot more than $10,000 to $20,000, or a lot less than $10,000. But my estimation is he's making somewhere between $10,000 to $20,000. He makes a lot more at his restaurant, and he makes more on his hot sauce than he does going to these gaming conventions. I do know that. But even that, he's still making more than anyone else. And he's making more than the current world record holder in Donkey Kong. I mean, he was not the current world record holder in Donkey Kong. Had to pay his way out to the Kong off. And he was paid $1,000. So, if you think about the expenses with the ticket out there in the hotel room, the head Donkey Kong world record holder who's taking the score to a level that is beyond imagination, 1,247,000. He makes nowhere near that. And what I'm trying to say is, and the reason why I'm making this video is, there is a problem in the classic high score gaming industry when the highest, and I'm talking before the scandals, is the highest paid person is someone that was a legend in the 80s for the most part. The fact, or had a perfect, yes, a 99 with a perfect game, but I'm just saying, the fact that new blood hasn't been able to come into the industry, into the hobby, and make anything is a problem with the high score gaming hobby that I completely love as a hobby. It's a great hobby. But unfortunately, 99.999% of the population doesn't agree with that. And, 99.99% of the population is not active. They're not submitting scores. They're not trying to get high scores or anything. If there is anything that's exploding, it's speedrunning, which is completely leaving the high score hobby in its track. And one final thing, and there is a consequence and a positive to this. The positive is everybody knows everybody. Like, I know who the Donkey Kong world record holder is, the former world record holders. We're friends on Facebook, and we're sort of like a dysfunctional family atmosphere. And so it's a very close community because there's not a ton of people. The heads of, the best Pac-Man player, the best Miss Pac-Man player, whatever the arcade game is, whatever the game is that has a score that you can do, because it's such a small hobby, the world record holders are not put on a pedestal. It's like they are reachable, and they're your average people. You've got people who are bellhops who hold world records, truck drivers who hold world records, all sorts of things, nurses, computer programmers, even a plastic surgeon. So it runs the gamut. The people who hold high score world records, for the most part, are your average everyday citizens. And that's what's kind of cool that separates this hobby from everything else. But having said that, because there isn't really any money in this hobby, because there is because this community is so small, there are some things that are very negative. And one of the things I have to say is Mr. Do Arcade. If you've heard of the name, there's one person who has a record on Mr. Do that's beyond anything else. His name is Jimmy Lunderman. And recently, in the past 3 years, he's suffered from diabetes. And he slowly but surely lost part of his foot. And he's lost toes, and basically part of his foot is gone. And he's had to go to the hospital and get rehabbed back and forth all the time. He lost his job because of his diabetes. His roommate kicked him out. Where is the world record holder in Mr. Do? The best player who's ever played the game? He's in a homeless shelter in New York City. So it's just sorry. All right. And the community is too small to help him out. So he begs online for money. I don't know. And so it's just, I wish the hobby was a little bit bigger so that the Legends of Gaming don't have where they fall through the cracks and they're completely homeless and they are begging for money online. That's the downside of this hobby. All right. I'll put a link to a thread where you can donate money to him if you want. I donated $20 to him, but I can't give him any more because I don't have a lot of money. Alright. So, there is a problem that the scandal person, the Billy Mitchell, gets a ton of money. And not a ton of money, but he gets appearance fees and is able to make money. He's someone that doesn't even need the money. But people that do need the money, who have taken a game seriously and taken it to a level that no one has for 35 years of existence of this game, are basically, begging for money. And I do have a problem with that. Alright. Well, that's it. Have a nice one.